Will you vote to rescind the land swap MOU with Duke Energy before the November election? Candidates, will you vote to rescind the MOU if elected? So let's start, since Mayor was the first, I'm going to start with Mayor Mannheimer and then go on to Councilwoman Roney.
So this is going to be a really disappointing answer, but the Friends of Lexington had hired my law partner to play the substation, so I don't get to vote on this, and I can't actually work on it at this point at all because I'm in a law firm that represents the Friends of Lexington. So, but if that changes, I will be able to. This mic is sort of.
That's the way it is.
Okay, so today in our check-ins, we heard that we can expect that there will be a review of designs so that we have something realistic to bring to the public, and that we will in fact be engaging the public after that. My ask for staff in our check-ins was, can we engage before we get to the design process? So many times we see a consultant or a design process or a plan, and we bring it to the public after. Could we design this better together? I do think that that's possible. I think that when we bring our professional lived experience to the table, we catch things that we wouldn't otherwise see. I heard that happen tonight from someone who was listening to the conversation. The other thing that I've asked is that we not wait so long to have public engagement. I think if we have public engagement in the next month, it helps to relieve the pressure valve that we're all feeling from not feeling heard. We'll be able to truly hear what the community's concerns are, and it'll inform our opinion on what to do next. If we can't do that, then we should rescind the MOU, and I would do that.
Council members, anyone willing to answer that question? Go ahead, Andrew.
Rarely in a situation like this do you find the city to have the upper hand to such a degree as the city does in this case. Duke wants to do this and needs to do this. The city so oftentimes you see in the city is just, when the community raises up and wants to fight something that is offensive like this, that the city is underpowered legally. And in this case, the city has an incredible negotiating advantage to be able to satisfy the very real concerns about losing the tree canopy on Lexington Avenue. So if I was on council, I would play that advantage to the hilt. And I will not reveal at this time to fully play that advantage how far I would go with that. So if you want someone who's going to fight for you, that means being a little cagey right now to make sure that we're not playing all our cards until we get to the table. So, but you guys are doing a great job. Very clever, by the way, to hire a lawyer from Van Winkle. That is slick. That is very slick. So kudos to you guys, and I wish to support you as a council member if you'll support me in the election.
Well, I spoke about this earlier, and I would, as I said, I would support to remove it right now. And the reasons are actually kind of complicated why. It's not easy. How many wins has the city, and I mean, when I say the city, I don't mean the government, I mean the residents gotten when they've complained about something with Duke Power? Almost zero. I don't know of any off the top of my head. And for me, this issue goes to the heart of something that has bothered me as just a resident and a voting member of the public for a long time. It is getting these things out in the open as soon as possible. That's why I went on record earlier this week that I will support open meeting laws for the Asheville City Council going forward. And I think this, when I hear people talk about this issue, the complaint that people go back to is we don't know until it's already out or it's already in the works. And I think that's something we need to work on. And I think this issue strikes to the heart of that, like I said. You know, I hear that there's really good business reasons to have that substation out of the Civic Center and over. And I used to work in business. I see the money. I see how that would improve the Civic Center. And I want to improve the Civic Center. And I'm a human being, and I know how often we just don't get any wins. And when you put citizens in a place where they're not getting any wins ever, everybody's gonna get louder and louder and louder over every single issue because they just don't feel heard. And I know what that feels like. As a trans woman, as a member of the LGBTQ community, I know what it's like to not be heard in my life. And I hear that echoed in this.
I can be kind of brief on this because I know everyone's getting tired. I know what it takes and what it looks like to take on Duke. I've spent a lot of time doing that professionally. One thing that we have won on is that we retired the coal-fired power plant in our community. That was no small fight. Duke can be pushed a lot further and should. If I had to vote today on the current MOU, on rescinding the MOU, I would. That's my answer. I think that I hope that through community dialogue and negotiation with Duke, we land at a place where we still have the infrastructure we need for our electric grid until we have much more renewable energies on the line. But I think that at this point, the speed of which it's going, the lack of inclusion of the community, and the lack of gumption to really push Duke a lot further isn't in service to us.
So an important thing to know about me, you can read about my policy positions and all that sort of thing on my website, topish4avl.com. But the most important thing about me as a candidate is that I believe in process. And in my case, it's process in service of democracy. When we have a city government that isn't responsive to what its residents want, that doesn't include them in the decision-making process early enough for it to actually make a difference, isn't transparent about the conversations it's having with the parties concerned, we have no way of holding those city representatives accountable. And democracy depends on accountability. So with respect to this power plant decision, it would be great if we could have minutes from check-ins so that we would know what those conversations were like. It would be great if people had had a chance to weigh in on this before there was an MOU. It would be great if we already had scheduled hearings for the public to have an opportunity to give their input on this matter in a way that would shape the policies that are going to affect our lives. But you can read all about my various perspectives and so forth, but my pledge to you is, if elected, every week I'm going to report to you who I talked to, what we talked about, how it's influencing my thinking. Every week I'm going to be out in the community, I'm talking to you and to your neighbors and to your neighborhood association and community advocates and all those folks, and I'm getting your perspectives and I'm reporting on that too and how it's affecting my thinking. So when it comes time to take a vote about an MOU or whatever it is that is going to affect your lives, you'll know how I arrived at my decision, and you'll have had an opportunity to influence it. And even if you don't agree with my vote, you'll at least understand how I got there, and you'll be able to hold me accountable for it.
Thank you. Thank you.